You're watching WGN Midday News.
Time now for lunch break. May is Celiac Awareness Month, and here to show us a great gluten-free recipe is Eric Brenner. He is the Chief Culinary Officer for Bold Organics, and we're actually going to make a dairy-free and gluten-free fried chicken today. Correct?
Yes. We're going to start off with, I'm going to make actually a dairy-free buttermilk. So I'm using a rice flour. Rice milk, right? And a little bit of vinegar, and this will create a little bit of what we typically think of as a buttermilk flavor.
Right, because when I think of buttermilk, I think of dairy, right?
Right.
So,
and then, now I'm going to put in some seasonings into it. So I've got salt, black pepper, a little cayenne pepper. We've got a little garlic powder, and we have a little onion powder. And we're going to kind of mix this together. And what you would do is you would put this in the refrigerator with the chicken and let it marinate for about an hour. So I'll go ahead and drop that in right now.
Doesn't have the same sort of thick consistency, but it's still going to get in there and give you the flavors that you need.
It's going to give you the flavors, and it's also going to make sure that you have the consistency so that it sticks together, so that the flour will stick to it.
Right.
So once you get that, and what's great about this is we're using the same exact spice mix for our flours. These are obviously non-gluten. We have brown rice flour, we have potato starch, and we have tapioca starch. And these are great substitutes that will create essentially what an all-purpose flour would do for you.
Sure, I've never heard of the tapioca starch as being a replacement.
Yeah, it just adds a nice little kind of, you can see it's kind of powdery.
It looks more floury.
It's going to kind of give it's going to give it a little more stickiness, I think. I'm going to add, and this is what's so cool about the recipe is that these are the exact same spices, just double the amounts. So these are going to go into the flour. And we're using the same, so that just double the amounts there, and they go in, and we're just going to kind of stir that around. We've got our oil here, which I use a little bit of grapeseed oil and a little bit of olive oil. Everything's organic that we're using, all the spices, all the flours, and all of the of course, the chicken.
Funny, you seem like such a nice guy, not a jerk at all.
Yeah, I know. The lead into
this was a reference to our last story for those of you who missed it.
I think organic people are great. And then we're going to just kind of take this, dredge it into the flour. And then we have our oil heated. I got it to about 325 degrees. You can use a fry daddy or, a deep fryer.
Sure.
I think that, for me, I think that pan frying is a little less fatty. It, kind of makes it a little bit nicer.
All right, that's a nice tip. Okay, surprisingly, that stuck very well without any egg in there or anything.
And it'll be even better if it were to, obviously we'd let it sit for an hour.
If it's sat for an hour, all right.
So we're just kind of tossing this around.
And you left the skin on?
I did leave the skin on. Now, we're also using legs, so I like bone in and skin on. For me, it's about the flavor. You could do breast with skin off. You could make sure that there's no bone, depending on your diet.
All righty.
So these go right in the oven. Right into the pan. I let these cook until they kind of get nice and brown, and then I slide them into the oven. It just kind of, as it's in the oven, some of the oil will leach out of it, so it's not as greasy.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then here we have, in our oven, we have some finished pieces.
Voila.
And
there's how it looks.
And you can see that the starch on it, the flours on it, look just like regular fried chicken.
Oh, absolutely.
The flavor is just as good, and we've taken the allergens out of it. So people who have celiac disease, who have trouble digesting nutrients, we're just trying to be respectful of their condition.
Yes.
And just making sure we take care of them.
Not only do people have allergies to gluten now, but I know a lot of people are trying to cut it out of their diet for other reasons as well, including some, hormonal and weight issues. Just for people who are on diets are finding they're less bloated when they're not eating gluten.
I've been eating this way for a little while now, and as a chef, it's very difficult. But I've found that by cutting out just gluten alone, I've been able to actually, I'm healthier. I can't describe it. Just I feel like I have more energy.
Yes.
And it's just I definitely feel like my watch fits better. I'm just not as bloated and stuff when I eat. So.
Oh, interesting. And as a chef, you have a unique opportunity to come up with some of these substitutions to help us eat gluten-free. And I know you also have some pizzas available that are gluten-free as well.
So this is great if you're cooking at home and you have the time. But if you're having like a little tailgate party or watching the game on TV, we have these frozen pizzas you can pop in the oven. They're the same starches. So I wanted to use the same starches. So we use brown rice flour, we use potato starch, and we have a great mix of flours that go into the crust.
Wow. It looks like it puffed up just as much as it would if you had a wheat flour in there.
And these are also dairy-free as well. So it's gluten-free, dairy-free. We have no tree nuts, no peanuts, no GMOs, all the things that people are concerned about.
What are you using for the cheese there?
That is real pepperoni, real sausage.
Okay.
We have vegetarian here, which is our roasted peppers and caramelized onions and mushroom. And then the other one is just cheese. The actual cheese is actually made from tofu. But if you look at it, it melts like cheese, it acts like cheese.
It sure does.
It has a very neutral flavor, so you actually taste the flavor of the crust and and the flavor of the sauce.
Oh, I have to try the substitute there. But first, I want to let people know if you want more information on today's recipe or to find out more information about these gluten-free pizzas, log on to WGNTV.com/midday, and we will link you right there. Thank you. A wonderful recipe and a wonderful idea. I have to check this out here.
You're going to love it, I promise you. It is the best tasting gluten-free, dairy-free